Hello, this is the Three Amigos. I'm Ron Irwin.
I'm Victor Nwebo.
And I'm Richard Perry.
And we have a very special guest in studio today. One of the funniest women alive, Cathy Ladman, is going to be with us for the bulk of the hour, and we're going to enjoy that conversation. We, of course, have a couple of commercial messages, and I want to mention before we even get into that, I've been doing this ongoing reading of a script that I'm working on, and we're going to have one more page of that as well. So let's get to that, and we'll start with, let's talk about Silver Spurs first.
All right, yeah, start off with the Cowboy here for the Cowboy event. So there is the 21st Annual Silver Spur Awards. It's coming up on September 21st of this year. It's done by the Real Cowboys, spelled R-E-E-L. I did a little bit of research on this group here, and it was very interesting to find that one of the things that they focus on is Western films and just the overall appreciation of Western films and the development of newer Western films. I actually watched one recently that was really, really good. I think it was called Salvation. Very interesting. So definitely worth checking out. But yeah, so Silver Spur Awards here. Now, if you want to find out any information about it, or if you possibly want to go, what you're going to do is you're going to go to www.realcowboys, that's REELCOWBOYS.org, or you can call them at this number, 818-395-5020. Again, that is 818-395-5020. And just to give you a quick idea here about some of the people you'll see, you got Sam Elliott, Catherine Ross, Patrick Wayne, Kathy Garver, Margaret O'Brien, Robert Crawford, Robert Carradine, Jimmy Crawford, Billy Zane. I mean, some amazing names on this list here. So something definitely worth checking out. And the proceeds also go to help support various charities and veterans.
And that's September 21st.
That's September 21st.
Yeah, and there's very limited seating, too, by the way.
Very limited seating.
So get it, because it's going fast. Robert Lanthier is the guy that owns it, and he's going to be a guest on our show 2 weeks from today.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have another Cowboy in here.
Well, he's done a couple things. He's done some work with, I don't know, Trini Lopez? How about that? Rock Hudson?
George
C. Scott? Yeah, he's been around.
Wow, George C. Scott. That's a name.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a name right there.
So this is, I know somebody to know somebody, if you know what I mean.
Am I allowed to talk now? We didn't discuss
No, you're not
that.
here yet, but go ahead.
Oh, okay, because sometimes they tell you to be quiet.
No,
you're
go for it.
good.
Okay.
This
I
Cathy,
love
by the way.
Westerns.
We would never
I
tell you.
love Westerns.
Netflix, Salvation. It's something that I've never seen
Oh, I'll have to
before.
We'll have
watch
to check that out.
Who's in that?
Fantastic. The gentleman who played the villain in the most recent Doctor Strange movie, he's,
Which
if
I
I'm not
didn't
mistaken, a
see.
Danish actor.
Oh, wow. I know what you're
But
talking about.
really,
Yeah.
really
Oh,
good story.
great.
Wow.
Oh,
And
great.
Ava Green is opposite of him, and she's fantastic.
Oh, I love a good Western.
Yes, definitely
so
worth your
much.
time.
Want to meet my buddy, Johnny Crawford?
Where and
We
when?
can make that
Where and when?
Is he going to be at the Silver Spur?
Yeah, he is, actually.
Okay.
He's one of the guests.
September
Robert.
21st.
Yeah.
Yep, September 21st.
What day of the week is that? Is that a
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it's a Tuesday.
No, because we close September 23rd, and I think that's a Sunday. I think
maybe
it's
it's a
I think
Friday.
it's a Friday.
It makes
It might
sense as
be
a
a
Friday
Friday.
event.
I think it's a Friday.
I might be off on my dates
I'm going
here.
to look up. I'm going to look it
All
up.
right. Well, while we're looking it up, let's
while we
just
look
talk
that
about
up, security
security deal here.
security is essential. Now, this is an extraordinary deal. You know how you get those Amazon boxes in the front of your house, and they just get left there, and anybody could just come and pick it up. That's been happening quite a bit in our complex that I live in. But First Digital Surveillance are offering this deal where if you buy 3 security cameras to keep surveillance of the most your privacy as well as your belongings, you get 1 free camera, making that an extraordinary deal. Also, if you are a police or a fireman, you also get an additional 10% off always. Again, the company, that's First Digital Surveillance. Get 3 cameras, get 1 free. Their number is 310-901-4954. One more time, 310-901-4954.
You moved to Maryland for a second there.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I was in the 410 for a bit. Yeah.
Okay. And finally, we've been having the hottest summer ever. You may have noticed.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we've seen some air conditioners fail.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't want that. You surely do not want that. Prevention, folks. Prevention. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure every time. And we got the guy to do it. Paul Stanley is his name. His company is Greater Nation Heating and Cooling. And just for you, because you listen to the show, you can get a $20 discount for a checkout. Normally $99, $79. What he'll do is he'll come over and check out your AC. If there's something wrong, he'll tell you what it is and what it takes to fix it. If not, he'll tell you that too. And that's important because there are a lot of guys that will come over and go, oh, well, I mean, obviously, we need $3,000. I mean, because no, that's not the way he works. He's legit. He's been around for a long time. He's a good guy. His name is Paul Stanley. You mentioned our show. He'll get this taken care of for you for $79. His number, 818-857-9651. Again, 818-857-9651. Give him a call. You're going to be happy you did.
Call Paul
Maintenance
Stanley.
is very important.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
People don't remember that. And then what happens is things fail, and then you're stuck in like 95
like your
degrees
body, for
humidity.
example.
And the
Yeah.
humidity here.
Yeah.
It never
It's
was
crazy.
humid here when I moved here.
And like once it breaks, you want it fixed that moment.
Exactly,
You know? Yeah.
exactly. And then you have to pay so much to get it fixed at that moment. So that's
Yeah.
why if you do it early and maintain it,
Yeah.
and you find it, then you really do save money.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
$100 inspection is worth way more than like a $2,000.
Alrighty.
fix.
So,
yeah.
you guys, if you've been listening
Ron
to this,
didn't like that conversation.
No, he liked the conversation, but he's just ready to go.
All right, go
for it.
ahead.
yeah, we're going to move
This
right
is a
along.
great exercise that you're doing.
Yeah.
You're, like reading a page each time. That's a great
fine.
exercise.
Well, I'm trying to get off book. It's my book, so
He's trying to get off book.
and I need to get off this book. But
That's
here's
why
the-
radio's the best practice. You
No,
can
it is.
never- you can
Seriously,
never
this
tell.
whole thing started when I went to an air show a year ago at Miramar. By the way, I've been invited to go back, and I'm not going to go.
No, you're not
No,
going to
no,
go?
No,
Why not?
Because I told you what happened. I went to this air show. We all got a little pin from the commanding officer saying, welcome home from Vietnam. I'm like, yeah, great. Then we walked out. I walked outside, and there's a A4 Skyhawk jet. The last time I had seen that very airplane was over a half a century ago in Chu Lai, Vietnam. That very airplane. And if you read the
Wow.
book, you'll know why that very airplane meant a lot to me.
Wow.
So I saw that, and all the memories that I had so happily repressed came rushing back like a tsunami. And I went home and I started writing the book, 5150, the book. Why 5150? You know what it means?
No.
It's
Is it
police
the
code for crazy.
Oh.
So I just thought, I'd be honest about it and call it 5150, the book. You can get it at ronerwin.net or, I don't know, lulu.com, but go to ronerwin.net, check it out, because you can also find out about the show. Yeah. You can listen to every show that we've done.
And then what about the proceeds? I know 20%.
Oh, yes, indeedy. 20% of everything that we sell at that website goes to help military veterans in need. VFW, Vietnam Veterans of America.
Oh,
So
great.
extremely good
So
cause.
20% of the book, 5150 the book. Now, I gave the book to a playwright who I had some respect for, and she read it. She said, "This is great. You should do a one-man show." And I said, "Who's the one man?" She said, "You."
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
there you go. Thank you.
I love our crowd so much. Our,
crowd is so
audience is
messed
the
up.
best.
Yeah, we got the best audience
Yeah.
in town. They're all digital.
That's the easiest to control, yeah.
So here we go. I visited the book department of the Marshall Fields department store in downtown Chicago when I was 13, maybe 14 years old. And I wasn't really into anything, but I happened to glance upon a small, thin book, which I showed you guys the other day,
yeah.
Yes,
that for
you did.
some unknown reason got my attention. I picked it up, I opened it, and I started reading. I couldn't stop reading it. And when I was done, I saw two other books that looked like it. I read those two, then I bought all three books. What were they? Japanese haiku, an ancient form of Japanese poetry, and I loved it. I could feel it touch me inside. Haiku carried me away. Walt Whitman, Robert Frost, they bored me to tears. But Basho and other haiku masters grabbed me and held me. Why? To this day, I don't really know. There's no clear answer. The only thing that was obvious is that there was an art form from Asia, and there was suddenly something very compelling to me about Asia. That thought stayed with me as I continued to stumble through high school. Then one very cold wintry day, I was walking around in Waukegan, Illinois, a little bit north of Chicago, and I saw a poster inviting all who might be interested to come on in and join the Marines. Well, what the hell? At least it would be warm inside. So I went in and I was greeted by a Marine Corps sergeant. The only question I asked the sergeant was, "Do Marines go to Asia?" To which he quickly replied, "We sure do," as he handed me a book entitled Posts of the Corps, which had several photos of Marines walking around in Japan looking very happy. "That's it. I want in. Let me have the paperwork," I requested. And he asked me, "How old are you, son?" To which I replied, 17, sir. which triggered two responses. The first was, "Don't call me sir, I'm a sergeant, I work for a living." It took a while, but I finally figured out what that meant. And the other response he got was, "You're going to need to get one of your parents to sign a consent form so you can join at 17. And I said, "That won't be a problem at all." So I went home to Dad and I said, "Dad, you sign these papers, I'll join the Marine Corps. You don't have to pay Mom any more child support." Those papers were signed in under 2 seconds. A couple of months later, I graduated from high school, primarily because they needed my desk for somebody else. And then it was the Marine Corps. Parris Island, South Carolina. "Get up, get up, get up, drop your cocks, pick up your socks, move it, move it, move it, let's go, 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 that's too slow, girls. All you maggots, drop and give me 20 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, I love the Marine Corps. This is my rifle, this is my gun, this is for killing, and this is for fun. RDI is turning green, someone pissed in his canteen. Get out, get out, get out, fall in, company street, tan, hut, dress right, dress, platoon, hut." Yep, it was intense. Anybody see Full Metal Jacket? The depiction of Marine boot camp in that movie is spot on, right up to the point where the guy shows up with a bullet. There's no way in hell that ever happened, never will happen. But it was very good up to that. And yes, there in some ways it was hell. But halfway through, the hardest thing was to not keep laughing at the drill instructors because they were very funny. Truly. Yeah, you don't want to do that to your DI. Because you'll be doing.
Keep the laughter inside.
You leave Marine Corps boot camp with tremendous upper body strength. The brain not so good, but the upper body strength awesome. That's just one part. That came from the book 51.
That's great.
You like that?
Yes. Oh, I'm sure your story is amazing.
Let's go. Let's do the Matrix.
Well,
know
I have no control over that.
Now let's.
But that would be a great space for you.
I was thinking the Pantages.
Wow,
Right,
you want to
just go
start
big
like
or
that?
Don't go at all.
Yeah, because if I'm going to get lots of rotten tomatoes, I want at least 20.
I don't think the Pantages is right for a solo show.
No, I've seen. Who's the guy that likes to eat ears?
What?
I don't know who that
ears?
is.
Yeah, the guy that bit somebody's ears.
Oh, Mike Tyson,
Mike
right.
Tyson.
That's
I saw
ridiculous.
Mike Tyson do a show there.
A one-man show?
Yeah.
With pigeons? Or just...
Yeah, well, nobody else was going to get on stage with them and keep their ears.
What was it like?
It was okay.
What was he talking about? Like
He was talking about Mike Tyson. What else would he talk about? What does he know?
Mike
Was it
Tyson
an
on
in-
Mike Tyson.
Was
at
it
the
an
Pantages.
interesting story?
It was okay.
It was okay.
No, it wasn't bad.
I don't think it's a good venue for a solo show. I don't think it's intimate enough.
Yeah,
No,
it seems
no,
pretty
no. But,
big.
you know, he's Mike Tyson, and so
The Taper is a great venue for a solo show. But that's a
we have
you
just
know.
gained a fourth amigo.
Yes, we did.
Which is
And-
awesome. We love that.
The best looking one in the house, Cathy Ladman, has joined us now. Winner of American Comedy Award. Yeah, for funniest female stand-up comedian. She's also an accomplished actress who's appeared in numerous films. Television shows include Pretty Little Liars. I think that, well, anyhow.
teenage girls love
Yeah,
that show.
that show's huge.
Love that show.
It's so autobiographical.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Taken for personal experience.
I'm
Pretty Little
dying up
Liars.
here.
Yeah.
And
Mad
our
Men.
next performance coming up
Modern
soon.
Family.
For those of you in Southern California, be sure to get over to the Matrix Theater on
Melrose.
It's going to be opening on August 18th, just a few days.
Yes.
And I'm going to be there.
Are you when are you coming?
I'm,
On the 18th?
Lucy should have me there, I think.
Right.
Maybe I didn't respond, but you know what? It's a minor oversight. Put me on the review
I don't
list.
know. I'll remind me because just remind me. I'm gonna have to. Obviously, I can't speak to Lucy,
I'm
so I have to
telling you
speak to
right
somebody
now,
else.
you're going to have your review in 45 million newspapers around the world. That is a total lie. But
Full disclosure.
What a lying
Don't trust-
society.
Yeah, don't
Why
trust anything
not?
I say.
I mean,
We're in
we're
LA.
talking about a
Yeah.
woman who starred in Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, yeah. He's keeping with the topic.
Well, okay.
I mean,
But do you normally do theater?
No, I haven't. You know, the last play that I did was 14 years ago,
Okay.
and this is a bigger production than anything that I've done in theater.
Okay. And how'd that happen? How'd you get introduced to it?
Well, Mark Lano and Joanne Astro, who wrote the show, I've known them for a long time, and they had me in mind. Mark used to be a co-owner of the Hollywood Improv, So I've known them and Joanne was stand-up, and then she became a manager. So they've been in that world for a long time, and I knew them from the stand-up world.
Yeah.
And they had me in mind for this part. And they spoke to my manager, whose name is Judy, which you just said, and I didn't know why you said Judy, but that was interesting. And so I read for it, and I got the part.
Okay. And you're talking about how today is the last day of rehearsal?
Today's the last day of of dress rehearsal, yes.
Okay.
And tomorrow and Friday we have previews, and then Saturday we open.
Wow. That's
The
great.
name of the show is?
Jews, Christians, and Screwing Stalin.
That alone is enough to make you want to go, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about Mark's life at a certain point in his life when he's a young man, and it's about when he goes back to his grandmother's boarding house where he grew up in Brooklyn, Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, and I play his grandmother.
Oh, that's not right. She play his baby sister.
No. I mean, he's a young man.
A little bit of a delayed response, audience. Also slightly rude. but whatever.
Yes, that's so funny. He plays a young man in his early 20s, so I'm supposed to be in my late 60s.
Okay.
Know,
It's a compliment that he wanted you to play his grandmother, I think.
I think it is a compliment.
Yeah.
It's
And they
very
asked you
much of
for
a
the
compliment.
audition.
Yes.
Now, in terms of stand-up, I know you're from New York.
Yes.
Okay. Did you start as a comedian, or were
Yes.
you actually a teacher beforehand? or
I
is
was
that
a teacher.
joke?
No, I was
Oh,
a
that's
teacher
real.
for
Okay.
1 year
Okay.
outside of Philly.
Okay.
You taught in a school?
Well, you're
A
like
real school, junior high.
Junior high?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst.
Is that what
Yeah,
drove you to
8th grade
comedy?
English. It used to be. I haven't done. I used to do material about that.
OMG, little red pencil lady with dangling participles.
I am so good at grammar, and I'll tell you
Okay.
something. It really kills me because grammar is really becoming out of style now.
It's
Ain't
tough
that
with
the
like
bugger, huh?
instant message and
If
Twitter.
people.
and
I mean, yeah,
emojis,
right?
right.
Because people don't use proper punctuation. People don't spell things out. But what really that doesn't bug me as much as people using like the wrong word, like when people use the objective case instead of the subjective case. You know, when somebody says him and me went, or her and I, or her, it just grates on me. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
And then I think ending a sentence with a preposition used to be like verboten, and now it's kind of become okay. I mean, look, language is living; it changes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like an old, grouchy
curmudgeon's
person.
like,
Yeah, I don't
hey.
want to be a grouchy person.
There's
but
no such thing as irregardless. It's regardless.
But still, well, that's just not a word. I mean,
Yeah,
that's.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the objective case instead of the subjective case, if you say between she and I, wrong.
Okay.
Between her and me is the proper way to say
Her
it.
and me. So is
Because
it like
between is a preposition, it takes the objective case.
okay.
But nobody cares anymore.
Yeah.
Or-
yeah.
Nobody
of course.
cares. I'm, screaming into the void, really.
I can vaguely remember like sentences with boxes and
Right,
like,
dialoguing sentences.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
right.
With the
Well, I had
modifiers and everything.
I had
yeah.
an amazing 9th grade, not a nice woman, Mrs. Jackson, but an amazing drill sergeant of a teacher. I mean, she taught us grammar, and it really, it's interesting because I was always a better math and science student than an English student. And that was almost a technical and scientific part of English. It wasn't a
Yeah.
creative part of English.
No, it was really technical. Yeah.
So I think that's why I took to it so well. And then, of course, I go into the arts, which is like all creative. Like, I don't know, like, I can't trace myself, I mean, I started out so differently than I became.
Yeah. Well, when you were teaching, did you ever at least have like an inkling that maybe I
yes.
like making people laugh?
Oh,
or,
no. I
yeah.
wanted to be a stand-up comic since I was
okay.
like 13.
Okay.
But I was too scared to do it. So, of course, my mother, nobody in my family is in the arts. I'm the only, in my extended family, I'm the only person. I mean, I'm talking about cousins and everything. I'm the only person in the arts. And, when I told my mother that this is what I wanted to do, she said, well, you should get a degree to fall back on. I mean, it was all like, it's so fear-based.
Yeah.
To not say, good for you, go do it,
Yeah.
go for it. Get something as a safety net,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I grew up.
Yeah. It's like
Very
typical.
conventional.
the arts are like the only profession where people are like, all right, well, just in case you fail,
Exactly.
have a backup
I
plan.
know, and
Like,
it's such
I want to be a doctor. Okay, well, you're gonna wanna have a backup plan.
Right.
Yeah.
You should learn guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really should. But yeah, it is kind of typical, I think. I mean, it's conventional. It's very conventional how I
What-
grew up. Oh, wow. What was that?
What was your first performance in front of people, other than friends and mom?
Well, God, did you hear that swallow? Because I did. My first performance in front of people, and the most significant thing that I can remember was when I did a play at Sleepaway Camp. I was in Once Upon a Mattress. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It was with Carol Burnett. It was the musical of Princess and the Pea, and I played Princess Winifred, the Carol Burnett part. And first of all, I was terrified when rehearsals were great, and then came the night that the performance, and I was terrified, and I convinced myself that I was sick, and I went to the infirmary, and the director had to come and talk me off the ledge, and I was so scared. And then once I got out there, I just had the most amazing time, and that was like when I said, "This is what I want to do." And I was encouraged by her. She said, "You really should think about doing this." So she was the first person in my life who saw that I had an affinity for this.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, being a teacher in front of junior high students,
Yes.
like they're pretty. What's the word?
Vicious.
Yeah, or like they're pretty observant. Like
No,
they're
they
aware
are.
of a lot
They're
of different
attuned.
things. So like
Yes.
that's sort of a good practice to be
Yeah,
in front of people.
I can remember one class, like the kids. I was standing at the door, and the kids are following out, and they go, "Funny class, Ms. Ladman,"
Yeah.
And it was like, "Oh, right,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
good. That was
Like,
a
okay,
good
cool.
feeling."
Honest response.
And I was young. I was a young teacher. I was 21, and my students were 13. So imagine that. I was only 8 years older than my students.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were just talking about this because I got involved in magic when I was about 10 or 11 years old. And I did my very first magic show in front of about, 10 people. And it was okay. And then when I got done, I said, I'm now going to do one more magic act. I'm going to disappear from the stage forever.
You didn't like it.
It was too freaky. It was too stressed.
Yeah.
It's like, I know I'm going to do something stupid. I've only practiced it 10,000 times.
Right.
And everyone was like, you're all staring at me.
I know.
Look over there.
I know. Stop looking at me, you guys.
But that's when you do all the stage work, especially. What could be the worst thing that happens? You walk out on stage, you tell what you think is funny, and you get nothing from the audience. Right?
Well, I mean, that happens.
Yeah.
I've been doing stand-up for 37 years. So that happens. I can't believe I've been doing it for 37 years. That's so old.
That's
Jesus.
a great career.
Was there
though.
anything that really just kind of, I guess for lack of better phrasing, spearheaded your desire for doing stand-up? Was there any particular moment or something that really just made you go,
Well, when I was very little, when I was about 8, I used to listen to my parents' comedy albums. And one in particular really stuck with me, Nichols and May, Examine Doctors. Are you familiar with Nichols and May? You should,
No.
oh my God, you got to go listen to them. Mike
Nichols
Nichols and
and
Elaine May were this
okay.
incredible improv team. And Mike Nichols, of course, became a fabulous director.
Right.
And Elaine May, of course, a writer and a director, hilarious person. And they were magical. And this particular album was Nichols and May Examine Doctors, and every sketch on the show, and they were really big in the 60s.
Okay, it was
and
like a
every
sketch
sketch on the show, on the album, was something doctor related. Patient doctor. There was one with Dr. Schweitzer. There was one in an operating room, and hilarious. I so encourage you to listen to them. And so I listened to this album and listened and listened and listened, and I memorized it. And at night, when my mom would come into my room, I would say my prayers, which seems really weird to me, and then I would do a selection off the album for her, and she didn't know what to make of it. She was like, "Oh, that's nice," you know. Very nice. Not that. It wasn't that. I can tell you that much.
The antithesis is more like,
Yeah.
all right,
Okay.
keep
All right
doing your
then.
homework.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Mike Nichols signed my album, and so I still have to get Elaine. I was in 2 of Mike Nichols' films, and then one time at the Comedy Awards, he was being honored, so I brought the album with me with the Sharpie, and I asked him to sign it, and now I've got to get Elaine May's signature on it somehow. I don't know how to meet her, but I have to figure that out.
Well, Elaine, if you're listening, we need your signature.
Yeah.
Oh,
We need your
yeah.
signature on this album.
Do you remember your first show?
My
And if you had-
first stand-up show?
Yeah.
Well, it was actually prior to when I really started. It was
Okay.
when I was a teacher. I went to this room in Philly. After that year, it was the summer. I found out about this room in Philly called Grandma Minnie's. And I went to the open mic night twice in a row. And the first time I was there, Rich Hall was there. Do you remember Rich Hall? Sniglets?
Yeah.
He was there, and this was at a time when he was living out in his car, just traveling around. And he told me one of my jokes was really funny, and the MC was someone that I really became friends with later in New York, and whom I still know now, Joe Bolster. But I did it twice, and then I decided to move out to Los Angeles because this is what I think happened for me. New York was too viable because I was in Philly. I'm from New York. New York's very close to Philly, so moving to New York was just the possibility was too big that I was going to actually get on stage. So I decided I was going to move to Los Angeles. I was going to move across the country, and that was going to be the magic bullet for me. Of course, when I got here, this was in 1977. When I got here, did not go near a comedy club. I was terrified. I lasted 4 months here, and I moved back to New York into my parents' house, and then I had some shitty jobs. You can say shitty on this show, right?
Yeah, well, you
Okay.
did.
I mean, but
it's
you
okay.
can, right? It's not. Yeah, see? They like it.
It's
Digital
vague.
audience is
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't mind.
And
Fecal matter tainted job.
and
Poopy.
and then I just couldn't stand not doing it.
yeah.
And I had to do it. It was just too painful to not do it. So I started when I was like 25 and a half.
25. Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's see. Do you still get nerves a little bit before you go on stage?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there were different kinds of nerves. There are excited nerves, and there are terrified nerves. There are a whole plethora of nervousness you can experience. Oh God, I remember this one time. I was actually shooting a movie. I think it was Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which I'm still actually remembered from. It's so interesting. I mean, it was so many years ago. And I had to go right from the set to get on a plane. I don't think I'm conflating this. I think this was the time I had to get right on a plane and fly to London to tape this show, this live show. So I had my set. I ran it at the Comedy Store that night in London for the producers, and they wanted to reorder the set. Now I'm working on like no sleep here, so I had to reorder the set. It was the same material, but they wanted the opening different. They wanted the closing different. So I had to remember the order of the set, and then I get on stage and I do my first joke, and I go completely blank. This is a live show, completely blank. And I remember putting my face in my hands, just like I was like horrified, and I went, my mother, my mother, my mother, and I remembered a joke, and I did the next joke, and then right at the end of that joke, another one came into my head. So I did everything that I was supposed to do, not one fewer, not one more, but in a completely different order. And after I got off that stage, I was mortified. I mean, my manager was there, and I was crying. I felt horrible. I mean, I felt like this was the end for me. And then when we watched it, it ran again, and we watched it. It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
But the experience was horrible.
Yeah.
It It was, and that was a different kind of nervousness.
I imagine like time is slowed down for the person on stage because people that are watching don't know the
Oh
calculus
my
that goes into it.
God!
They're just experiencing
And my
it.
second Tonight Show was weird too. My first Tonight Show, I had a great time, and I was,
We're talking. This was with Johnny Carson.
Is this
actually this
Leno,
one.
or-
Well, it was when Leno was guest hosting. My my
Oh,
first
okay.
two were with Leno. The first one I was supposed to do with Johnny, and then I was bumped. And then when I was scheduled, it was with Jay, which was in some ways better because I knew Jay, and it was a little bit less nerve wracking. So I had a great show, and then 2 months later, I go back on, and I think, well, this one's going to be even better, not realizing that nothing can possibly compare to a first time. It's just itself.
Yeah, that
You know,
specialness is
it's
no
not.
longer
It's
there.
not a hierarchy. It doesn't get better. It's just, and when I got out there, it was just weird, and I felt surreal, and I didn't feel like it was going well at all, and it was great. And I spoke to Jay's wife after the show, and she said, "I think this was even better than your first one," which was not my personal experience at all.
Yeah.
It's very
so interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
We
It was
are
like
going to,
that.
Yeah.
Just a short break to some commercial messages and continue our conversation with American Comedy Award for Funniest Female Stand-Up Comedian, Cathy Ladman. And we're gonna, one question I want to come back. What makes something funny? Well, think about that. We'll
Easy
get there.
questions.
Okay. let's get our
All right.
extra deal here going.
All right. So let's go back to the extraordinary deal. It's ordinary plus extra. So first of all, you want to be secure, and you want to make sure that someone has an eye out for you for your best interest. First Digital Surveillance, they're offering an extraordinary deal where if you buy 3 of the cameras for your home, you get 1 free camera. So that's 4 for the price of 3. No obligation. And if you're a police or a fireman, you get 10% off always. That's First Digital Surveillance. Their number is 310-901-4954. Again, that's 310-901-4954. You can never be too safe. First Digital Surveillance.
I just want to mention one thing about this. These people came over and did our condo building. They did it in a day. And our parking area is very low light. I can go on the monitor. I can see everything in complete, sharp detail. These are low-light ability cameras. These are fantastic. My wife works for Panavision. You want a good camera? I got one. But these are excellent for security. And this guy knows his stuff. And the price was way less than anybody else we talked to. And yet the quality was the best I'd ever seen. It's good stuff. So I would definitely give First Digital Surveillance a call. And check it out. They'll come over. They'll tell you what they'll do. They'll look at it and say, "Okay, this is what we recommend," and you make your decision. But you can get an extra. What is it? 10% off? No, you get a free camera.
You
That's
get a
what it is.
free camera.
Free camera.
Extra 10% if you're a police officer or
police or
firefighter.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
give you 10% off with a free camera. Okay, there you go. No, that was a horrible attempt at humor. All right, we are talking now
Was that
also
funny?
about the. Don't have to agree with me so much. Boy, amigos. Air conditioning. Mine hasn't stopped in about 6 weeks.
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah, we just got the bill. That's horrible.
We just got the bill.
But that's it. But you pay that. I mean,
Yeah.
like there's no.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't have
I
a
mean,
choice.
that's- Yeah.
It's you've just
Not
been
an
held
option.
hostage by
But
the
what
AC.
you don't want is you go to turn it on and it goes click.
Oh.
And you look at and you watch the heat rise.
Yeah. There's no
Right.
hotter feeling than looking at an air conditioner that's not
It's
working.
not working.
No. No. Well, I could think of one. If I was like looking at Jessica Alba.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair
but-
enough.
That could do it.
But
I think
imagine
we're
looking
sticking
at
with
Jessica
AC
Alba
units and
without
weather
an
today,
AC
Ron.
unit.
Okay, but without an air conditioner would make it worse.
It'd be
Look,
tough.
here's what you want to do. Get your air conditioner checked out by a professional. Make sure that it's going to keep working for you for the rest of the summer because it's not getting cooler anytime soon. We're going to be in the 90s and 100s all the way through into September, which is crazy.
Even October. Isn't it hot in October here?
jeez.
Isn't it?
Not
Or-
by Halloween, anyhow.
No.
Yeah,
So I'm beginning to really like Halloween because it's like it's
the last
over.
half of October is usually pretty cool.
And my UPS guy said it was going to be a very cold winter.
Fine.
So everything's very extreme.
That sort of
Very
stinks.
extreme.
Yeah.
Well,
Where'd
if
the
we
mild
start
weather
getting
go?
snowdrifts in Burbank, we got something to talk
Yes,
about.
yes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Give Paul Stanley a call. Have him check out your AC. It's only going to cost you $79. It could save you. Look, air conditioner, it happened to us once when we went out. We had to spend 3 days in a hotel because we just couldn't stay in a house. So don't even think about just the fact that you're paying to get the air conditioner fixed. Where are you going to live? 3 days in a hotel isn't cheap. So,
Yeah, this is like a no-brainer for $79.
Yeah,
just to
check
get it
it out.
checked out.
Paul Stanley's the guy. He's a great guy. 818-857-9651. 818-857-9651. And by the way, you might want to take a visit over at ronerwin.net. There's a bunch of stuff, including this show, as one of the tabs on it, the Three Amigos. But anything you see throughout this whole website, anything at all that's for sale, that if you like it, I've got some artwork up, we got some books. Our guest the other last show, we have his book about riddles.
Stephen?
His book is up there now. He volunteered to make it a 20% contribution to anything you say, 20% going to the help American military veterans in need.
I'll put my CD up there
Done.
if you want to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, done.
Absolutely. There you go. Look, we have some fantastic. Let's give it up for our friend Cathy Ladman.
Yep, just put the link of my website up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
there you go. Check it out, ronerwin.net. And if you like anything, you want to buy it, buy it. If you don't, that's okay. It doesn't cost you anything to go to the website. That's free. And there you have it. And by the way, you can get you'll get a look at a beautiful picture of our radio. You can't quite see it so here, but I've got a genuine antique radio
Oh,
that we use. And if you click on
cool.
that radio, we'll hear you or anybody else that's on the show. It gives you
Right.
the whole
Choose
list.
to- yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So there you go. Now, what is funny? What makes something funny?
I think what makes something funny is very subjective. It's experiential. It's between the two entities. It's between the thing that's funny and the person receiving it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what's funny to one person is not always funny to another person. I mean, I can watch comedy that has some people rolling and it doesn't make me laugh at all.
Yeah.
And then I can watch something that's funny and another person will think,
Yeah.
well, that's not funny.
Or it could be like a situation too, I imagine. Do you know, sometimes you'll have
Yeah.
someone tell a story about their horrible day,
Yes.
but it's actually pretty funny if they were just on the outside
Right,
of it.
right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's a completely subjective thing. It's intangible. That's what I think. It's not.
That's going to make it tough for you to work on your material because.
Well,
who
I
are
have
you
to do what I think is funny, and I
Yeah.
have to do what suits me. What suits me as a performer.
Okay.
And then, I mean, ultimately, what everybody wants is to build an audience that
on your
wants
sense
to
of humor.
come to see you.
Right. Right.
I mean, and when you go into a comedy club, like the Comedy Store, the Improv, or something like that, and you do a show, the audience is not there necessarily to see you. They're just there to see a comedy show. So it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's going to be. Excuse me. But if I'm going to do a show September 14th in Spokane, Washington, at the Bing Theater, that's billed. I'm the show. So people are going who want to
see
come
you.
see me will come to see me, and that's different.
And
That's a different
gotta give you a certain
experience.
comfort level too.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
So they know what they're in for.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'm guessing that when you do sets at clubs, that's sort of like the training grounds for the new material, or
Yeah, sometimes, but you know what? Also, a long show is a good place. Is a good place to put in some new stuff too. And I'll tell you something. Well, while I haven't been doing stand up for the past 5 weeks or so because I've been
of the
rehearsing
play,
for this show for Jews, Christians, and Screwing Stalin. Let me say it again at the Matrix Theater, opening this Saturday, August 18th, with previews August
Christians, and Screwing
16th and
Stalin.
17th. Yes.
Is that funny or dramatic?
Oh, it's a comedy.
Okay.
It's a comedy. Yes.
The title would suggest that. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I haven't had time or the headspace to do it because I've been all about learning my lines, learning my character, learning the blocking, and plus there's a lot of physical time that I've been putting into this.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, this is a long day for me.
Yeah.
I'm coming here, then I'm going to the theater at 3, and I don't get out till 11. I'm not going to be home till
8-hour day,
midnight.
jeez. Yeah.
So these days, I mean, these are particularly long days, but the early days of rehearsing have been a little bit shorter, but still pretty extensive and intense.
Yeah, and it's not just
And-
about the time you're there. You have to
No,
also focus
it's
afterwards.
It's the headspace,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So I'm a little. I got to get back. Once the play starts, I'm going to make sure I get on stage a couple of times before I go to Spokane.
My daughter has done a lot of acting, and she when she's just graduated USC, wasn't in drama. She was in communications, but now for some odd reason, she's dusted off her SAG-AFTRA card, and she wants to go out and do this again. But what I don't understand is it is so much work, and just like getting off book is. I mean, I'm working on it one page at a time for something I wrote.
I know.
How much harder for other person's material, and you have to learn how to interact with the other characters. Where all
Right.
these things. It's a severely hard job.
It really is, and also, I love. Excuse me.
Okay, we'll take a little break here while we let our guest Cathy.
I love
take a
working.
little drink, and there you go.
I love working with other
ribeye.
people.
Not bad.
That was
Character back in
delicious.
play.
And
Dom Perignon.
I love working with other people. As a stand-up, I work by myself,
Yourself, yeah.
and being collaborative is really great. But it also puts another level of pressure on me personally. I mean, I don't know how other people feel. I assume they might feel like this, but I feel a great deal of responsibility towards the other people because I want to be there for them.
Right, yeah.
I want to support their work. If I go up in a line, that makes it harder for other people. So we got to be
like a
there.
team.
We got to
Yeah.
carry each
Yeah,
other.
no, it's true.
So it's a different experience, and it's both exciting and terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cathy, actually, I wanted to ask you because amidst like looking up all your stand up, getting to see like the TED Med talk that you did.
Oh, yes.
All the different things. I noticed that you also were part of a publication of Moms Are Nuts, a
Yes.
book. And I was really curious to kind of just get to hear about your experience with that, working on that because it was a collaborative piece.
Right.
And then also just your personal take from working on something like that.
Well, I mean it wasn't. It wasn't really collaborative in that sense because we each wrote our own stories about our experiences, either being a mom or having a mom.
Yeah.
So I mean that wasn't the same as the collaboration I'm doing in
Right,
the theater.
of course.
But I mean also becoming a mom late in life has really informed a lot of my work. I was 48 when we adopted my
right?
daughter.
Yeah.
Right. She just turned 15.
Okay.
Help.
That's exciting.
Oh, it's really hard. It's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have? You had teenage daughters.
I
Oh
have a
God.
granddaughter living with us now. She's just about 11. She's right on
On
the
the cusp.
edge.
Yeah. It's really hard. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, you hear about it. It's like everything else in life. You hear about it and you go, yeah.
Yeah.
But when you start experiencing these things, you go, yeah. Yeah,
The
that's what
knowing-
you
the
were
knowing,
talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah.
It's very interesting. And then I think about how I was when I was 15. I know I was tough. I mean, I know I was tough because I was unhappy. So that had to be hard for my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I can't even remember the piece that I wrote for Moms Are Nuts. I may have written the piece about when we went to adopt my daughter. I think that's what it was about. I remember one joke in it. I was so not used to having that responsibility, and the movie $1 Million Baby was out in the theaters at that point, and I remember strolling my daughter down Main Street and not being able to go to the movies, and I was thinking, God, I can't go see $1 Million Baby because I'm here with $20,000 Baby. They like it.
Hey, there you go.
But I mean, it's a shock becoming a parent.
Yeah.
It is, but it's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
I'm sure
How many kids do you have? 3?
Well, it depends on how you count.
Depends on how you
okay.
count.
I have a grand total of 5 that I'm aware of.
A grand total of 5.
That I'm aware of, yeah.
Okay.
There's a possibility,
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't know.
All right.
5 confirmed.
But you were talking about mothers, and
Yes.
Largely due to mine. I left home at 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I found a place, and it was okay. So it's part of my book, 5150, by the way.
Wow.
But
At 11. I left home at 16.
Well,
That's way
Mom-
different.
Mom got a little bit off. My dad was a band member, a drummer, and he loved it. Mm-hmm. Of course, what did she do the minute they got married? Get a real job. He thought being a band leader and a drummer was a real job.
Right.
And, yeah. So it kind of got nasty. But then it got worse because when my mother divorced my dad, she became a cougar.
Oh.
And she fell in with this guy that was like 12 years older than me. So he could have been an older brother.
Yeah, that's odd.
It's a little complicated.
And no, it wasn't complicated at all. Mom said, "What'd you think of him?" I think he's a scumbag, dirtball. I hope I never see him again. 2 weeks later, they got married.
Oh, God.
So much for Mom asking for my opinion.
Wow. Well,
So
you
that's
had
when I realized, okay, I have to do something about this. And there's no way my dad could have done anything because that was back in the day when if you're the dad, you lose, period. And if he'd take me back in, she'd sue him for more child support, whatever the hell. I mean, it would have been ugly. Yeah. So he just said, "I love you, Ronnie, but I can't help you." And we did find accommodations, and it was okay. But that was just like, okay.
Wow.
And my dad moved out of the house one night when I was 10 because Mom decided to chase him around the house with a butcher's knife. And Dad left.
He didn't like that game very much.
Yeah.
No.
It's not fun.
And,
No.
there are
There are no winners in that game.
No.
well, this is why I say
Yeah.
firearm control. Breathe, relax, aim, squeeze. Takes care of butcher knives. It's a Marine Corps thing. I'm sorry. You have to da-dump bump. Okay, so forget it.
Okay.
That was my horrible
The audience wasn't
attempt at
happy with
humor.
that.
This is why I don't have your job.
Well, but these stories that you're what you're telling us now is it really makes sense that you joined the Marines. You were desperate for structure.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah. And my first year in the Marine Corps was unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I ended up in Hong Kong at a party all night with Bill Holden.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Wow.
You don't do that kind of stuff
Right.
around here.
Right.
Well, you think you could. People come from all over the
you
world
can?
thinking they're going to do it. Like, not at Hollywood and Highland, buddy.
Don't take the CDs.
Before we go, you said you left at 16. What?
Yes, I went to college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I mean-
a show off.
Because you did say
No,
you were
not a
teacher.
show off.
You were 21
I was
when you
tw-
started.
I was 20, and then I turned 21 while I was teaching.
So you must have graduated early.
I
Okay.
did, but look, I was smart, but that's not really why. I was an October baby, and back then you didn't hold kids back from kindergarten, so I started kindergarten when I was just shy of 5.
Okay.
Then in New York City, we had something called SP in junior high, which is special progress. You took a test, and you could either take the 2-year SP or the 3-year SP. And I already knew I wanted out of the house, so I rallied and I got the 2-year SP. So that put me 1 year ahead. Then when I was in high school, I found out I could graduate a half a year early. So I did that.
Okay.
So that really pushed me ahead, and I went to college when I was just barely 16. I was 16 in October, and I went to college in January.
See, the only reason I graduated high school is because they needed my chair.
Right.
Yeah.
You said, yeah.
They're so generous. I like that. Well, I have one more thing. Like, I wanted to hear like what your favorite joke of yours is, or okay, that might be a tough one, but how you come up with jokes, because I imagine it isn't something where you're just like, okay, let's try to be funny here.
Well,
or is it like
you think?
moments
I mean, I think
that
of
happen?
things. I just
Okay.
think of things that are funny to me. Like I'm working on something about like lost pets. But I love animals, and I get notifications when a dog or cat is lost in the neighborhood, so I keep my eye out for that. And then I got one for a lost bird, and I was thinking like that might be funny because how do you find it, and then I found it and I lost it. It's like how do you catch a lost bird? Yeah. So I mean, some things like that will come to me. But
are they lost? Are they escaped? We don't
I mean,
know.
I think the funniest things that I do Well, not necessarily. Some of the funniest things I do are really out of my life. Like one of my favorite jokes that I do is about my dog. I love my dog so much. My dog Chappie, and he's which unfortunately was Donald Trump's dog's name. I later learned, but we adopted Chappie, and he came with the name, so we just kept the name.
Yeah.
But then I found out that he had a poodle named Chappie, but. But the dog didn't like him, so
Okay,
I
that's
feel
good.
vindicated.
Yeah.
Is this some
But-
sort of a commentary on your opinion of Trump?
On what? On my opinion of Trump?
We
Well,
love Trump on
yes.
this show.
We
You
can
love
tell.
Trump?
Oh, yeah, we sure do.
Yep,
Oh, boy,
we're
I can
super,
tell.
Super
Yeah.
fans.
I can tell.
Being in LA and everything.
So,
Audience agrees.
but so do I have time?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no, you're good.
So I love Chappie, and I adore him. And when I'm home and I'm writing, I'll get up and I'll go find. I mean, I often just go look for him and hug him and cuddle him, and I find him like sleeping in a little dog. You know, the dog coil, how they
Yeah.
sleep, and
Yeah.
his eyes are closed into little slits, and I just, oh my God, I think I love him so much. I can't stand it. I think like I will never love another creature as much as I love him. And then I walk down the hall and I look into the bedroom and I see my husband napping, and I'm filled with resentment. And this is, this is very true. This is completely experiential for
Yeah,
me.
yeah. So it's
So
about
those
taking
are my
that
favorite
feeling
things.
and
Those are my
making it fun.
favorite things to do on stage.
Okay.
Because I just relive them every time.
Okay. Our guest has
Man, I
been
wish
That's
we had
how I
more
like to
time.
end a joke.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, now
Cathy
that
Ladman has been with us. Go see her show coming up on the 18th of August.
Please come see it. It's running through September 23rd. It's Saturday
Jews,
night,
Christians, and Screwing Stalin. You can't go wrong just with that title.
Saturday, Monday nights, Sunday matinee.
There you go. And give them a call. Check it out. Look it up. Ooh, Google it.
Plays411.com.
Place411.com. Go do it. You'll be happy that you did. And we're going to be back next week with We Don't Know What. And then coming up the week after, well, we're not sure. We had a guest, but, it's time things change. Some people, we had
This
a guest
is-
one time, then ended up in Hawaii doing a movie.
Wow.
Darn.
This is life.
yeah.
What
You
happens?
So we'll go. We have a little bit of music, please, and then we'll say goodbye.
All right.
There you go.